The
Stay
Zenithari
with me,
Empire
I'm
ruled
stabilizing your core.
847
It hurts, but I
star
feel it
systems
working.
for 3
Almost there,
centuries.
hold on.
They
Thank
thought
you.
humans were expendable labor. They were wrong. In 72 hours, one salvage engineer proved humanity wasn't just survivors, we were the galaxy's last hope. This is how a man who fixed broken ships became the one thing empires feared most, a witness to their lies. The air still tasted like copper and burnt plastic. Garrett Thorne crouched beside a shattered cargo hauler scanner in one hand, plasma cutter in the other. The battlefield stretched for miles. Twisted metal, scorched earth. The kind of silence that comes after violence when even the wind holds its breath. 3 days since the shooting stopped. Just long enough for the bodies to disappear, but not long enough for the scavengers to pick everything clean. Perfect timing. He wiped sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand, leaving a streak of grease across sun-weathered skin. 38 years old, looked 50 in the right light. That's what 2 years of salvage work did to a man. That and losing the only person who ever made him want to stop. His scanner beeped. Power core 15 meters north. Still intact. Maybe worth 300 credits if he could extract it without frying the capacitors. 300 credits meant food for a week, fuel for the shuttle, maybe even a decent night's sleep in a real bed instead of the fold-out cot that smelled like hydraulic fluid and regret. He started moving boots crunching on debris. The hauler's hull had collapsed inward frame, bent like paper. Imperial artillery, clean, efficient, wasteful. They'd bombed this supply convoy into dust just to prove they could then left everything to rot. Standard procedure for the Zenithari Empire. Why salvage when you could just build more? A voice crackled through his comm. Rough-weathered, carrying the weight of too many battlefields. Thorne, you copy? Garrett tapped his earpiece. Yeah, Dax, I'm here. Found a munitions cache, Sector 7. Looks untouched. We could clear 2,000 credits easy if the detonators aren't fried. Dax Varro, 55 years old, career salvager, the closest thing Garrett had to a friend in this business. They'd been working together for 8 months. Long enough to trust each other's backs. Not long enough to talk about the past. Copy that, Garrett said. I'll meet you there in 20. He clipped the scanner to his belt and started climbing over a collapsed bulkhead. His hands moved automatically. Check for weak points. Test the metal. Distribute your weight. Muscle memory from 15 years as a Navy engineer, back when he fixed ships instead of picking their bones. Back when he had a reason to care about tomorrow. The scanner beeped again. Closer now. 10 meters. He dropped into a crater, landed in a crouch. The power core sat half buried in dirt, still glowing faintly. Zenithari tech, military grade. The kind of thing that could get you arrested just for touching it, or rich if you knew where to sell it. Garrett pulled out his tools. Magnetic clamps, insulated gloves, bypass wire. He'd done this 100 times. Disconnect the primary feed. Bleed the capacitors. Don't rush. Rushing got you killed. His hands were steady. That was the thing about grief. Eventually it stopped shaking you. Eventually it just became background noise like tinnitus or the hum of a reactor. Always there, never quite loud enough to stop you from working. The core came free with a soft hiss. Clean extraction. No sparks, no alarms. Good. He was sliding it into his pack when the scanner went crazy. Not a beep. A scream, high-pitched, insistent, the kind of reading that made your stomach drop. Life sign, faint, fading, 200 meters east. Garrett froze. He stared at the scanner display. Human number, the biosignature was wrong. Too complex. Too other, alien. He looked across the battlefield. Nothing moved. Just wreckage and wind and the smell of old death. Walk away. That was the smart play. Life signs meant complications. Questions. Maybe prison, depending on which faction claimed this territory this week. The Empire didn't like people who interfered with their messes. The scanner beeped again. Weaker this time. Dying. Garrett closed his eyes. He saw Eliza. Not the way she looked at the end, pale and small in that hospital bed, but the way she looked on their wedding day. Laughing. Alive. Telling him he worried too much. You can't save everyone, Garrett, she'd said once. But you can save someone. He opened his eyes. Damn it. He grabbed his med kit and started running. The wreckage got worse the farther he went. Entire sections of the battlefield had been glass turned to black stone by concentrated plasma fire. Whatever happened here, it wasn't a skirmish. It was an execution. The life sign led him to a collapsed assault frame, one of those massive bipedal war machines the Empire used for shock troops. This one was gutted. Armor peeled back like a dissected insect. Cockpit destroyed. And underneath it, half buried in twisted metal, he found her. She was tall, humanoid, silver-gray skin marked with faint luminescent lines that pulsed weakly like a dying circuit board. Her armor was nothing he'd ever seen. Sleek, elegant, organic, almost like it had been grown instead of built, and torn apart. Plasma burns covered 70% of her body. The armor had tried to seal the wounds, but the auto-repair systems had failed. Fluid leaked from the breaches. Not blood, something thicker, darker. She should have been dead an hour ago, but her chest still moved, shallow, irregular, fighting for every breath. Garrett dropped to his knees beside her. His brain shifted into emergency mode, the part of him that could look at catastrophic damage and see solutions instead of impossibilities. Not a person, a system, a failing system that needed bypass protocols and jury-rigged fixes. He found an access port on her armor plugged in his diagnostic pad. The display that appeared made him blink. Stellarium alloy, quantum entangled circuitry, power distribution networks that shouldn't exist outside of theoretical physics papers. This wasn't militia tech. This wasn't even standard imperial military. This was classified, level 10, the kind of tech that started wars. And she was dying. Her armor's life support had 47 minutes of power left, maybe less. The main conduit was shattered backup circuits, fried internal medical systems offline. Garrett pulled out his toolkit. His hands moved fast. Bypass the destroyed conduit. Reroute power to vital subsystems. He connected his portable fusion cell directly to her armor grid, feeding energy into collapsing systems. Sparks flew. Warnings flashed in a language he didn't understand. He ignored them. Her vitals spiked. Not good, but not flatline. He grabbed industrial repair foam, the stuff designed for hull breaches, and started sealing the armor gaps. It wasn't meant for biological systems, but it would stop pressure loss. Stop her from bleeding out. 14 minutes. He recalibrated her thermal regulation. Her core temperature was dropping. Shock. He fed more power into the heating elements. Watched the numbers climb. 23 minutes. Her neural activity was erratic. Damage to the connection pathways between armor and spine. He didn't have surgical tools. He had a multi-tool and a prayer. He jury-rigged an electromagnetic pulse generator from his scanner's power cell. Crude, dangerous. But it might stimulate the damaged tissue enough to bridge the gap. 31 minutes. The pulse fired. Her body convulsed. The luminescent lines on her skin flared bright, then dimmed to almost nothing. Garrett held his breath. Then her eyes opened. Gold. Pure, burning gold like molten metal. She stared at him. Through him. Her gaze was sharp, focused, the look of someone who'd been trained to assess threats in microseconds. You, she said. Her voice was rough, damaged, but the English was perfect. You should have left me. Garrett didn't move. Yeah, people keep saying that about me. She tried to sit up, failed. Her face showed nothing, but her hand twitched toward a weapon that wasn't there anymore. Easy, Garrett said. You've got plasma burns through half your organs, or whatever you have instead of organs. Just stay still. She looked at him for a long moment, then her eyes unfocused like she was listening to something he couldn't hear. How long? She asked. Since the battle, 3 days. Since you found me, 49 minutes. And something changed in her expression. Not quite surprise, more like recalculation. You stabilized me. Barely. You need real medical attention. I'm just an engineer. An engineer. She said it like the word meant something different in her language. You used industrial tools on biological trauma. Yeah, well, desperate times. She was quiet for a moment. Then, what's your designation, Garrett Thorne? Salvager. Used to fix ships. Now I fix whatever pays. Salvager. Another long pause. You were not sent. Sent? No, I was looking for power cores. Scanner picked up your life sign. I should have ignored it. Why didn't you? Garrett looked at her. Really looked. Past the alien features, the silver skin, the impossible armor. He saw what he'd seen in every emergency room, every battlefield, med tent, every place where people fought to stay alive against impossible odds. He saw someone who wasn't ready to die. Because I couldn't, he said simply. She held his gaze, those gold eyes burning into him, searching for something. Deception, maybe? Hidden motives. Whatever she was looking for, she didn't find it. I am Liana Saren, she said quietly, and you have made a grave mistake, Garrett Thorne. His calm crackled. Dax's voice urgent. Thorne, where the hell are you? Sector 7 is clear. We need to move. I'm picking up scanner activity. Someone else is working this site. Garrett tapped his earpiece. Copy. I've got a situation here. Need 10 more minutes. What kind of situation, Sean? Garrett looked at Liana, at her armor, at the classified tech that could get them both killed. The kind we don't talk about on open channels. A pause, then, understood. 10 minutes, then we're gone. The comm went dead. Liana was watching him. You have a partner. Yeah, he will not approve of this. Probably not. You could leave me, take your salvage, disappear. Garrett started packing his tools. Already had this conversation with myself. I lost. You don't understand what you've done. I saved your life. You've endangered your own. He looked at her. Lady, my life's been endangered since the day I was born. That's what happens when you're human in a galaxy that thinks you're cheap labor. One more risk isn't gonna kill me. Something flickered across her face, almost like recognition. Cheap labor, she repeated softly. Before Garrett could respond, her armor made a sound. Not a beep, a chime. Clear, resonant, almost musical. Liana's entire body went rigid. No. The chime repeated, louder. No, no, no. Text scrolled across Garrett's diagnostic pad. He couldn't read the language, but he understood the symbol that appeared. A crown. What is that? He asked. Liana grabbed his wrist. Her grip was weak but desperate. The beacon. I disabled it. I made sure. What beacon? Emergency protocol. If my vital signs drop below critical thresholds, my armor broadcasts a distress signal. Garrett felt ice in his stomach. Broadcast to who? She looked at him. For the first time, he saw fear in those gold eyes. Everyone. The sky split open. 3 ships dropped out of fold space, materializing like metal thunderheads. Not cargo haulers, not merchant vessels. Warships. Zenithari Imperial Fleet. Sleek, predatory, bristling with weapons that could glass a city block in seconds. Garrett's scanner screamed. 3 contacts, closing fast. Thorn, Dax's voice nearly drowned out by static. What the hell did you do? I've got Imperial signatures across the board. Garrett grabbed Liana's arm, tried to lift her. She was heavier than she looked. The armor added weight. Can you walk? Barely. Then we're running. He got her upright. She leaned on him, one arm across his shoulders. They moved together, stumbling over debris. Every step sent pain across her face, but she didn't make a sound. Professional, trained. Whatever she was, she'd been through worse. The ships descended. Atmospheric engines roared. Displacement waves flattened the wreckage around them. Garrett's shuttle was 400 meters away. Might as well have been 400 miles. His comm crackled again. Dax's voice, but different now, cold, controlled. Garrett, listen to me very carefully. I'm at the shuttle. Engines are hot, but those ships are broadcasting a priority directive. They want whoever triggered that beacon. They want them alive. Yeah, I figured. They're offering amnesty to anyone who cooperates. Full pardon, clean record, 10,000 credits. Garrett kept moving. Dax, I'm not saying I'm taking it. I'm saying they're serious. Whatever you found, it's important. Liana spoke, her voice barely a whisper. He should take it. You both should. I'm not worth dying for. Garrett ignored her. Dax, fire up the engines. We're coming in hot. A pause, long enough to hurt. Then roger that. But Garrett, yeah, this better be worth it. The comm went dead. One of the ships landed 200 meters ahead, cutting off their path to the shuttle. The ramp dropped. Soldiers poured out. 20, 30, full combat armor, weapons raised. And in the center, one figure without a helmet. Tall, angular. Zenithari features sharpened by genetic modification. Eyes like chips of black ice. Admiral Corvin. Garrett had never met him. Didn't need to. Every salvager knew the name. The Empire's enforcer. The man who cleaned up messes that were too sensitive for public record. Corvin's voice boomed across the battlefield, amplified by suit speakers. Human, release the defector. This doesn't concern you. Garrett didn't stop moving. She's injured. She needs medical attention. She will receive it after you surrender her. How about you let me bring her to you? She can't walk on her own. How about you do as you're told? Garrett felt Liana tense. He'll kill you, she whispered. The moment I'm secure, you're a liability. Yeah, I figured that too. He looked around, wreckage everywhere. 3 ships, maybe 60 soldiers, 0 chance of fighting their way out. But fighting wasn't the only option. Garrett had spent 15 years in the Navy, another 2 in salvage. He'd learned one thing that separated the living from the dead. When you can't fight the enemy, fight the environment in. He tapped his comm. Private channel. Dax would hear. No one else. Dax, I need a distraction. Big one, 30 seconds. Dax's reply was immediate. Define big. Remember that munitions cache you found? A pause, then quietly, oh hell. 30 seconds. Garrett looked at Corvin, raised his voice. Okay, you win. I'm bringing her over. Just don't shoot. She's in bad shape. Corvin smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Wise choice human. Garrett started walking toward them. Slow, careful, counting in his head. 28 seconds. The soldiers formed a perimeter. Weapons trained, fingers on triggers, 24 seconds. Liana's grip tightened on his shoulder. What are you doing, improvising? That's not a plan. Welcome to humanity. 18 seconds. Corvin held up a hand. The soldiers tensed. That's far enough. Put her down. Step away. She can't stand on her own. Then set her down gently. You seem concerned for her welfare. 12 seconds. Garrett lowered Liana to the ground. She looked at him, those gold eyes searching his face. Thank you, she whispered, for trying. He winked. Who said I'm done? 8 seconds. He stood, raised his hands, took 3 steps away from Liana. Corvin nodded. 2 soldiers moved forward. 4 seconds. Garrett dropped flat. The munitions cache exploded. Sector 7 lit up like a newborn star. The shockwave hit before the sound a wall of pressure that flattened everything in a half-mile radius. Soldiers went flying. The nearest ship lifted off the ground, slammed back down on its side. Alarms screamed. Debris rained from the sky. Garrett was already moving. He grabbed Liana, threw her over his shoulder in a fireman's carry. She was heavy. He didn't care. He ran. The world was noise and fire and chaos. Exactly what he needed. His comm crackled. Dax's voice laughing, actually laughing. I can't believe that worked. Shuttle, now 30 seconds out, west side of the crater. And Garrett, what? That was 2,000 credits of munitions. I'll buy you a drink. Another explosion, smaller, secondary detonations. The munitions cache had been bigger than they thought. Garrett vaulted over a collapsed wall. His lungs burned, his legs screamed. Liana was dead weight on his shoulders, her armor adding at least 50 pounds. He didn't slow down. Behind them, Corvin's voice cut through the chaos. After them, I want them alive. Weapons fire. Plasma bolts scorched the air. Garrett zigzagged, using wreckage for cover. A bolt hit the ground 3 feet to his left. Molten metal sprayed. He kept running. The shuttle appeared through the smoke. Beautiful, ugly, barely flight-worthy. Dax had the ramp-down engines screaming. Garrett charged up the ramp. Go, go, go! The shuttle lifted before the ramp fully closed. Garrett felt Liana rolling off his shoulders. The deck plating was cold against his face. He could taste blood. Didn't know if it was his. The shuttle's engines roared. Acceleration pressed him into the floor. Through the closing ramp, he saw Corvin standing in the wreckage watching them rise. Not chasing, just watching. Then the ramp sealed. The battlefield disappeared. Garrett lay there breathing hard. Every muscle hurt. His hands were shaking. Adrenaline crash. Liana was next to him. She'd managed to prop herself against the wall. Her armor was scorched, smoking. But she was alive. That, she said quietly, was insane. Garrett laughed. It hurt. Yeah, you could have died. Wouldn't be the first time. She looked at him, really looked, like she was seeing him for the first time. Why, she asked. You don't know me, don't know what I am. Why risk everything? Garrett pushed himself into a sitting position. His shoulder throbbed, probably pulled something. 2 years ago, he said, my wife got sick, cancer, treatable, except our insurance company decided the treatment was too expensive, not cost-effective. She died 3 months later. He met Liana's eyes. I stood there in that hospital, watching her fade, and I couldn't do anything. Couldn't fix it, couldn't save her. The system said she wasn't worth saving and I was powerless. He gestured at her. You were dying, I could help. Maybe I can't change the galaxy, but I could save one person. So I did. Liana was quiet for a long time, then she said very softly, your wife. What was her name? Eliza. She would be proud of you. Garrett felt something crack in his chest, the grief he kept buried under work and exhaustion and forward motion. He looked away. Yeah, maybe. The shuttle lurched. Dax's voice over the intercom. Hate to interrupt, but we've got a problem. Garrett hauled himself to his feet. What kind of problem? The kind where Imperial warships are still in orbit, and we're in a salvage shuttle that maxes out at .2 light speed. Can we jump to fold space? Not for another 6 hours. Drive needs to cool down. I pushed it too hard getting here. Garrett moved toward the cockpit. Liana tried to stand, failed. He grabbed her arm, helped her up. She leaned on him. They moved together. The cockpit was cramped. Two seats, displays everywhere, the smell of burnt wiring and coffee. Dax sat in the pilot's chair, 55 gray-haired, scarred hands on the controls. He didn't turn around. So, Dax said, want to tell me what the hell we just stole from the Empire? Garrett helped Liana into the co-pilot's seat. She collapsed into it, breathing hard. I am not stolen, she said. I am not property. Dax finally looked back. His eyes went wide. Holy shit, that's Imperial armor. Command level, you stole an Imperial officer. Rescued, Garrett corrected, and it's complicated. It's about to get more complicated. Dax pointed at the scanner. 3 ships just jumped in system. Not the ones from the surface. New contacts, bigger. Garrett looked at the display. 3 massive signatures, cruiser class, each one capable of reducing a planet to ash. They're not here for salvage, Liana said quietly. Then what are they here for? She looked at Garrett, fear and determination mixed in those gold eyes. Me. The scanner started screaming. All 3 cruisers had locked weapons. Dax's hands flew across the controls. Incoming transmission. Priority channel. It's Admiral Corvin. Garrett took a breath, put it through. Corvin's face filled the screen. Cold, controlled, furious. Garrett Thorne, I will give you one opportunity. Surrender the defector. We will forget this incident. You will receive a full pardon and 50,000 credits. You have 60 seconds to decide. Garrett looked at Liana, at Dax, at the scanner showing 3 warships capable of vaporizing them in an instant. Everything in his training, his experience, his survival instinct screamed at him to take the deal. He thought about Eliza, about standing in that hospital powerless. He thought about the choice he'd made on the battlefield. He looked at Corvin. No. Corvin's expression didn't change. You're making a mistake. Probably, but it's my mistake to make. You'll die for someone you don't even know. Garrett glanced at Liana. Seems like a good enough reason. The Corvin leaned forward. You have no idea what you're protecting. No idea what she is. Then why don't you tell me? A pause, long enough to be meaningful. Then Corvin smiled. It was a terrible thing. Ask her, he said. Ask her why the Empire wants her dead. Ask her what she really is. The transmission cut. Silence filled the cockpit. Just the hum of the engines and the beep of the scanner and the sound of 3 people breathing. Dax spoke first. So, anyone want to answer that question? Garrett looked at Liana. She was staring at her hands. The luminescent lines on her skin pulsed slowly, rhythmically. Liana, Garrett said quietly, what are you, She was silent for a long moment. Then she raised her head. Those gold eyes met his. 200 years ago, she said, the Zenithari Empire was fragmenting. Civil war, corruption. The Council of 7 ruled in name only. The galaxy was weeks from total collapse. She took a breath. A group of scientists created a solution, a shadow throne, a hidden ruler who could make decisions without political pressure, someone who could govern in secret, maintain stability without becoming a target. Dax's voice was quiet. A puppet. No, not a puppet. Liana's voice hardened. An empress, with full authority, full power, invisible, untouchable. For 200 years I have ruled the Zenithari Empire, and no one knew. The words hung in the air like smoke. Garrett felt his brain trying to process, failing. You're the Empress. I was, until the Council discovered my identity, until they decided I was too dangerous to live. Dax laughed. It was a broken sound. We just rescued the secret ruler of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Former ruler, Liana corrected. If Corvin succeeds, there will be no empire, only chaos. The scanner screamed again. The 3 cruisers were moving, forming an intercept pattern. Garrett looked at the display. At the impossible odds. At the choice that wasn't really a choice at all. He thought about Eliza's voice. You can't save everyone, but you can save someone. He turned to Dax. How long until the full drive is ready? 5 hours, 42 minutes. And how long and until those ships are in weapons range? 12 minutes, Garrett nodded slowly. Okay, then we've got 12 minutes to figure out how to not die. Liana spoke. There is no way to not die. They will destroy this ship. You should have taken the offer. Yeah, probably. Garrett looked at her. But here's the thing. I've spent 2 years not caring if I lived or died. 2 years just going through the motions. And in the last hour, I've felt more alive than I have since Eliza passed. He smiled. It was tired, real. So if I'm going out doing something that matters, saving someone who needs it. Liana stared at him. Something changed in her expression, like a wall coming down. You are either very brave, she said softly, or very foolish. Can't I be both? Despite everything, she almost smiled. The scanner beeped. 8 minutes to weapons range. Dax was running calculations on his display. I might have something. It's stupid. Probably won't work. Garrett leaned over. I specialize in stupid. What have you got? Dax pulled up a star map. Theta 9 is near the Veil Nebula. Dense particle clouds, magnetic interference. Sensors go half-blind in there. If we can reach it before they catch us, they'll lose lock. Maybe, if we're lucky. And if we're not lucky, we fly blind into a cloud full of stellar debris and die in a slightly different way. Garrett looked at Liana. Your call. You're what they want. She met his eyes. I told you I am not property. This is not my choice alone. Then we're going to the nebula. Dax's hands moved across the controls. Hang on. This is going to be rough. The shuttle's engines screamed. Acceleration slammed them back into their seats. The hull groaned. Warning lights flashed. On the scanner, the three cruisers turned. Matching course. Closing the gap. 6 minutes to weapons range. Garrett watched the nebula grow on the forward display. Purple and blue and angry red. Beautiful and deadly. His hand found the armrest. Gripped tight. Beside him, Liana's breathing was labored. Her wounds were catching up. The adrenaline wearing off. Stay with me, he said. I'm not going anywhere. Good. 4 minutes. The nebula filled the viewport. Clouds thick as oil. Lightning dancing between particle streams. Dax's voice was tight. Entering the veil in 30 seconds. Kill all non-essential systems. We need to go dark. Garrett started flipping switches. Lights died. Displays went black. Only the scanner remained its glow, painting their faces in pale green. The three cruisers were right behind them, close enough to see their hull markings. 20 seconds. 15. 10. The shuttle hit the nebula. Everything went white. The nebula swallowed them whole. Colors exploded across the viewport. Purple lightning. Blue plasma streams. Electromagnetic interference turned the scanner into a strobe light, flashing warnings faster than Garrett could read them. The shuttle bucked. Hard. Something in the port engine shrieked. Talk to me, Dax! Dax's hands flew across the controls. Magnetic turbulence. Hull's taking a beating. If we stay in here more than 20 minutes, we're scrap. And the cruisers? Lost visual. Sensors are useless, but they're in here with us, somewhere. Garrett looked at the scanner. Nothing but static and ghost readings. They were flying blind through a cosmic storm in a shuttle held together with spot welds and prayer. Perfect. Liana made a sound. Not quite a gasp. More like someone trying very hard not to scream. Garrett turned. She was gripping the armrest knuckles white under silver skin. Her luminescent markings flickered erratically. How bad? He asked. The electromagnetic interference. It's disrupting my neural pathways. Armor's trying to compensate. Will it kill you? Eventually. How eventual are we talking? She managed a weak smile. Long enough to die when the ship explodes, if that helps. Despite everything, Garrett laughed. You've got a dark sense of humor. 200 years of politics. You develop one or go insane. The shuttle lurched. Dax swore. Debris field ahead. I can't see it, but I can feel it. We need to get out of this cloud. If we leave, the cruisers will find us. If we stay, the nebula will kill us. Pick your death. Garrett looked at the scanner, at the useless static, at the impossible choice. Then he noticed something. The static wasn't random. There was a pattern, faint, repeating. Dax, you seeing this? Seeing what? The interference pattern. It's not natural. Something's broadcasting. Dax leaned closer. His eyes narrowed. Son of a bitch, you're right. That's a navigation beacon. Old one. Pre-Empire frequency. How old? 50 years, maybe more. Liana's voice was quiet. There was a human colony in this sector. New Horizon. The Empire relocated them in the expansion. Garrett heard something in her tone. Relocated. That's what the official records say. What do the unofficial records say? She was silent. Garrett turned to Dax. Can you follow that beacon? Maybe, if the station's still there. If it's not full of holes. If the docking systems still work. If... Dax. Yeah, I can try. The shuttle changed course, chasing a ghost signal through a cosmic storm. 10 minutes of white-knuckle flying. The hull groaned. The port engine coughed. Alarms screamed and died and screamed again. Then the static cleared. A structure appeared on the scanner. Massive, cylindrical, rotating slowly in the particle clouds. New Horizon Station. Dead. Dark. But intact. Docking port's still there, Dax said. Outer doors are open. Either an invitation or a trap. Only one way to find out. Dax brought them in. Slow. Careful. The shuttle's landing gear kissed the docking clamps. Magnetic seals engaged with a clunk that echoed through the hull. Silence. Just the hum of the engines winding down and the creak of metal settling. Garrett unbuckled. His legs were shaky, adrenaline crash. He'd been running on fumes for the last hour. Atmosphere, he asked. Dax checked the scanner. Station's holding pressure, breathable, barely. Temperature's cold. Power's minimal. Life support's running on emergency reserves. So it's a tomb. Yeah, but it's our tomb for the next few hours. Those cruisers won't find us in here. Garrett helped Liana stand. She was weaker. The nebula had taken its toll. Can you walk? If I must. You must. They moved through the shuttle. Dax grabbed a portable scanner and a plasma pistol. Garrett took his toolkit and a flashlight. Liana took nothing. Her armor was her weapon and her prison. The airlock hissed open. New Horizon Station waited on the other side. The air tasted stale, like breathing dust and old memories. Garrett's flashlight cut through the darkness. The docking bay was enormous, built for commercial haulers, supply ships, civilian traffic that would never come again. Everything was exactly where people had left it. Cargo containers half-loaded, tool carts abandoned mid-shift, coffee cups on workbenches. Like everyone had just stopped. What happened here? Garrett asked. Liana's voice echoed. The Empire needed workers. New Horizon had 20,000 colonists. They were given a choice: relocate to Imperial labor facilities or face economic sanctions. And I'll say 12,000 took the offer, 8,000 refused. She paused. The station was declared a hazard zone, quarantined. No one was allowed to leave. Garrett felt ice in his gut. They locked them in. The official report says there was a reactor malfunction. Everyone evacuated, very tragic. And the unofficial report, there is no unofficial report because there were no survivors to contradict the official one. Garrett looked at the abandoned tools, the half-finished work, the lives interrupted. Jesus. They moved deeper into the station. Emergency lighting flickered on as they passed motion-activated systems, still functioning after 50 years. The glow was sickly, green-white, made everything look corpse-pale. Dax found a station map on a wall terminal. Command center's 3 levels up. If the QEC transmitter's still operational, that's where it'll be. And if we run into any of those 8,000 who refuse to leave, then we apologize for being late. They took the stairs. The elevators were dead. Each level was the same. Empty corridors, sealed doors. The quiet that comes after everyone's gone and the world's forgotten why. Garrett's boots echoed on metal gratings. The sound was too loud, too present, like the station was listening. Liana stumbled. Garrett caught her. Talk to me. The electromagnetic interference. It's worse here. Something about the station's shielding amplifies it. Can your armor compensate? It's trying, but the damage from the battlefield combined with this. She winced. I don't have long. Define long. Hours, maybe less. Garrett looked at Dax. We need to move faster. They pushed harder, up 3 more levels, through corridors that felt like they were closing in. The command center doors were sealed, emergency lockdown, red lights still flashing after 50 years. Dax pulled out his toolkit. I can bypass this. Give me 5 minutes. While Dax worked, Garrett helped Liana sit. She leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Why didn't you tell me? He asked quietly. Tell you what? That you're human. She looked at him, those gold eyes unreadable. How did you know? The way you said relocated. The way you won't talk about what really happened here. You're not mourning strangers. You're mourning your people. Liana was quiet for a long moment. Then she said very softly, I was 7 years old. My family was camping in the mountains. I went to fetch water from a stream. When I came back, they were gone. Just gone. Garrett felt something twist in his chest. I wandered for hours, crying, screaming. Then I saw lights in the sky. Not stars, ships. I thought it was a rescue. She laughed. It was a broken sound. The Zenithari found me, took me, studied me. They wanted to understand human cognition, human adaptability. Could a primitive species be elevated? Could they be trained to think like imperial citizens? They experimented on you. They educated me, augmented me, extended my lifespan, made me this. She gestured at her armor, at herself. I was their success story, proof that humans could evolve, could be useful. Then why make you Empress? Because I was brilliant, ruthless, unmarred by imperial politics. I could make decisions the council couldn't, end conflicts they were afraid to touch. I ruled for 200 years, and I did it well. Her voice cracked. But I forgot Garrett. I forgot where I came from. Forgot what they did to my family. Forgot the 20,000 colonists on stations like this one. I became the thing I should have fought. Garrett sat beside her. You were a child. They took that choice from you, Dawn. That's no excuse. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. There's a difference. The door hissed open. Dax stepped back, tools in hand. We're in. The command center was enormous. Workstations everywhere. Dark screens, dead terminals. And in the center, one console still glowing. The QEC transmitter. Quantum entangled communication. Instantaneous across any distance. Impossible to jam. Impossible to intercept. And completely functional. How is this still working? Dax asked. Garrett moved to the console. Emergency protocols. QEC systems have independent power, designed to survive anything. Someone wanted to make sure calls for help could always go out. He started typing. The interface was old, human design, Earth standard. His fingers remembered the commands. Can you reach Earth? Liana asked. Maybe, but that's not the play. Then what is? Garrett pulled up the station's archive servers. 50 years of data, all of it still intact, protected, waiting. You said the official report was a reactor malfunction. Everyone evacuated. Yes. Then let's see what really happened. He accessed the security logs. The final week of New Horizon Station. The footage started playing on the main screen. Day 1, council transmission, official, recorded. A Zenithari administrator on a screen, cold, formal, reading from a prepared statement. By order of the Territorial Expansion Act, all human colonists must report to designated relocation facilities within 7 days. Failure to comply will result in forfeiture of imperial protection. Day 3, station director's log, human voice, tired, angry. They're not asking us to relocate. They're demanding we report to labor camps. We've seen the reports, 12-hour shifts, no medical care, families separated. This isn't relocation. It's slavery. Day 5, emergency council meeting, 20 voices arguing, deciding. We can't fight them. We don't have weapons, don't have ships. Then we don't fight. We resist. We stay here. Make them force the issue. They will force it. You know they will. Then let them. Let the galaxy see what the Empire really is. Day 7, deadline passed. No one left. Silence for 6 hours. Then the footage switched to external cameras. Imperial ships, dozens of them, surrounding the station. Admiral Corvin's face on every screen. Younger, but the same cold eyes. You have violated Imperial directive. Surrender for processing or face consequences. The station director's response, shaking but firm. We are free citizens. We claim right of self-determination under the colonial charter. The charter has been revoked. You have 1 hour to comply. 59 minutes of silence. Then the footage showed it. The ships didn't fire weapons. They didn't need to. They vented the station's atmosphere. All of it, every section, every corridor, every sealed room where families huddled and prayed and waited for rescue that would never come. 8,000 people, suffocated, in vacuum. The cameras recorded everything. Their final moments, their faces pressed against viewports, their hands beating on sealed doors. 23 minutes from first breach to last death. The footage ended. The command center was silent. Garrett felt sick, physically sick. His hands were shaking. Dax's voice was barely a whisper. They killed them all. Liana had her eyes closed. Tears ran down her silver skin. I knew. In my heart I knew. But I told myself it was policy, necessary, the price of stability. She opened her eyes. I told myself lies so I could sleep at night. Garrett stood. His legs were unsteady. How many others? How many stations like this? 47, Liana said quietly. Over 200 years. 200,000 humans vanished into labor facilities. Maybe a third are still alive. Jesus Christ. This is what I ruled, Garrett. This is the empire I maintained. Efficient, stable, built on the bodies of your people. Garrett looked at the screen, at the frozen image of a child's handprint on a viewport. Small, desperate. He thought about Eliza, about the insurance company that decided she wasn't worth saving. He thought about systems that ground people into dust and called it progress. No more, he said. What? The galaxy needs to see this. He turned to Dax. Can this transmitter reach more than just Earth? Dax was already at the console running calculations. QEC's system this size I can broadcast to every major hub in the Empire. 600 systems minimum. Maybe all 847 if I boost the signal. Do it. Garrett, Liana's voice was strained. If you expose this, the Empire will collapse. Billions of people depend on Imperial infrastructure. Trade routes, defense systems. You'll create chaos. Good. Let there be chaos. Better than lies. You don't understand what you're risking. Garrett turned to her. My wife died because a system decided she was too expensive to save. Your people died because an empire decided they were easier to murder than to protect. I understand exactly what I'm risking. He started pulling files, security footage, shipping manifests, labor camp locations, financial records showing payoffs and cover-ups. Every piece of evidence New Horizons colonists had compiled before they died. Every truth the Empire had buried. This is what they died for, he said. They knew someone would find this eventually. They wanted the galaxy to know. Dax was setting up the broadcast parameters. This is going to take 20 minutes to compile. And once we start transmitting, every ship in the sector will triangulate our position, including the 3 cruisers in the nebula, especially them. How long until the transmission finishes? 12 minutes, if nothing goes wrong. Garrett looked at Liana. You have a vote. This is your empire, your legacy. Once this gets out, you'll be connected to every crime, every cover-up. She met his eyes. I've lived 200 years carrying this weight. Maybe it's time someone else knew how heavy it was. That's a yes. That's a yes. Garrett nodded. He started the compilation sequence. Files streamed across the screen. Gigabytes of data. Decades of evidence, the truth finally coming to light. Dax's scanner beeped. We've got a problem. What kind? Energy signature. 300 meters spinward. Something just powered up. Garrett's hand went to his sidearm. The station's been dead for 50 years. What could power up? That's the question. Another beep. Closer. 100 meters. Then the lights went out. Not the emergency lights. Everything. Total darkness. Garrett's flashlight snapped on. The beam cut through black. Showed nothing but empty corridor. Dax, I'm here. Console's still running on its own power, but something's draining the station grid. The console beeped. Warning, Dax swore. Quantum jammer. Someone's activating a quantum jammer. I thought you couldn't jam QEC. You can't, not normally, but if you create a localized quantum interference field, you can disrupt the entanglement. Basically cut the connection before the message sends. How long do we have? Jammer's at 30% power. Interference starts at 70. 4 minutes, maybe 5. Garrett's mind raced. Can we stop it? Not from here. You'd have to physically disable the jammer, and I don't know where it is. Liana stood, unsteady but determined. I know. How? The jammer's using the station's power grid. That kind of draw, there's only one place with enough capacity, the main reactor level. You can barely walk. Then I'll crawl. Garrett looked at Dax. Keep the broadcast ready. The second that jammer goes down, you send everything. And if it doesn't go down, then we die knowing we tried. He grabbed Liana's arm. Together they moved toward the door. Dax called after them. Garrett, whoever activated that jammer, they're still on this station. I know. Be careful. Always am. They ran down 3 levels. Through corridors that felt like they were breathing, the station creaked and groaned around them. Liana was fading. Each step took effort, but she didn't stop, didn't slow. Why are you doing this? She asked between breaths. I told you I can't fix every broken system, but I can fix this one. You'll die. We'll both die. Maybe, but at least the truth gets out. That's not a comfort. Comfort's overrated. They reached the reactor level. The doors were open. Emergency lighting flickered. And in the center of the chamber, standing beside a massive piece of equipment that shouldn't be there, was Admiral Corvin. He wasn't alone. 20 soldiers, full combat armor, weapons raised, and behind them in a cargo area, 200 people in chains. Humans. Garrett stopped. His hand went to his sidearm. Corvin smiled. Garrett Thorne, I was wondering when you'd arrive. You were waiting for us. Of course, the station's beacon led you here. The functional QEE transmitter, the convenient archive of evidence. He gestured around. All of it. Bait. Garrett felt his stomach drop. You wanted us to find this. I wanted Liana Saren to find this, to be confronted with her legacy, to see the cost of her rule. Corvin's smile widened. The fact that you came along was unexpected, but useful. The jammer, insurance, can't have you actually broadcasting before I'm ready. He checked a wrist display, which should be in approximately 2 minutes. Garrett looked at the prisoners, humans, young, old, families, all of them staring with hollow eyes. Who are they? Labor camp survivors, from the New Horizon incident and others like it. I've been collecting them for months, preparing. For what? For this. Corvin gestured to Liana. You wanted to expose the Empire's crimes, show the galaxy what we've done to humanity. Perfect. I'll help you. Liana's voice was steel. You're going to execute them. On camera, broadcasting to every system, while blaming you. Understanding hit Garrett like a hammer. You're staging a coup. I'm restoring order. Liana Saren, the human pretender, will be revealed as the architect of humanity's suffering. She ordered the camps, the relocations, the murders, and when the galaxy sees her true nature, they'll beg me to take control. They'll never believe it. Won't they? She is human. She did rule in secret, and when I broadcast her execution alongside these prisoners, the narrative writes itself. Corvin's eyes were ice. The council will fall. The Empire will unite under military control. Humanity will be classified as hostile, and billions of humans across the galaxy will face the consequences. Garrett's hand tightened on his sidearm. I won't let you. You can't stop me. You're one man with a salvage toolkit and delusions of heroism. I have an army. 20 soldiers, 200 hostages, one quantum jammer between them and the truth. Impossible odds. Garrett had faced worse. He looked at Liana. She met his eyes. Understanding passed between them. You asked why I'm doing this, Garrett said quietly. Yes. 2 years ago, I lost everything. I've been dead inside ever since, just going through motions. But today, he smiled, today I remembered what it feels like to give a damn about something. He turned to Corvin. You made one mistake. What's that? You assume I care if I die. Garrett drew his sidearm and fired, not at Corvin, at the quantum jammer's power conduit. The shot hit dead center. Sparks exploded. The jammer screamed and died. Corvin roared, Kill them! Garrett dove, pulling Liana down. Plasma bolts scorched the air above them. And somewhere 3 levels up in a command center with a functional QEC transmitter, Dax hit send. The broadcast went out. All of it. Security footage, manifests, financial records, testimonies from the dead. 600 star systems received it simultaneously. Trade hubs, military stations, civilian networks, news outlets, government councils. 847 worlds learned the truth in the span of 12 seconds. The Zenithari Empire had built itself on slavery, on murder, on the systematic destruction of human colonies. And Empress Liana Saren, human herself, had ruled while it happened. The galaxy's quantum networks lit up like fire. Transmissions, demands for explanation, outrage, shock, denial. In the reactor chamber, Corvin's comm exploded with incoming messages, hundreds of them, thousands. His plan was unraveling in real time. Garrett didn't wait. He grabbed a plasma grenade from a fallen soldier's belt, threw it toward the jammer's remains. Close your eyes. The grenade detonated. White light. Thunder. The shockwave hit like a physical wall. When Garrett's vision cleared, half the soldiers were down. The others were disoriented, scrambling. Corvin was already moving toward the prisoners. Weapon raised. If I can't have my coup, he snarled, then I'll settle for revenge. Garrett ran, his legs pumped, distance closing. Corvin's finger tightened on the trigger. Liana stepped between them. Her armor was damaged. Her body was failing. But she stood in arms spread, a shield of flesh and metal. No more, no more, she said. Corvin fired. The plasma bolt hit her chest, punched through armor, through flesh, through the body that had ruled an empire for 2 centuries. She fell. Garrett caught her. They went down together. Her weight was nothing. Everything. Liana, she coughed, blood on her lips, silver and red. Did it work, the broadcast? Garrett looked at his comm, signals everywhere. The entire galaxy was receiving. It worked. She smiled. Good. Her armor was dying, the luminescent lines flickering, fading. Stay with me. Too late. Her hand found his, gripped weak. But I'm glad. Glad I met you. Glad I remembered what it means to be human. You're not dying. I didn't save you just to lose you now. You didn't save me, Garrett. You freed me. Her eyes closed. The lights went out. Garrett knelt there holding a dead Empress, while around him soldiers lowered their weapons and prisoners wept, and Corvan screamed into his comm about damage control and spin. But it was too late for spin. The truth was out, and the galaxy was listening. Dax's voice crackled through Garrett's earpiece. Garrett, I'm seeing massive fleet movements, ships jumping in system, dozens of them. Garrett didn't move. Couldn't move. Ours or theirs? I don't know. Transponder codes are... Wait, holy shit. What? They're not empire, they're independent. Free colonies, merchant fleets, every species the empire ever screwed over. Dax's voice was awed. They're responding to the broadcast. They're coming here. Corvan heard it too. His face went white. Sir, one of his officers said, we need to evacuate, now. No, we can... Sir, 37 ships and counting. We can't fight them all. Corvan looked at Garrett, at Lyanna's body, at the impossible situation he'd created. For the first time, the Admiral looked uncertain. This isn't over, he said. Yeah, Garrett replied. It is. Corvan and his soldiers fled, running for their ships, leaving the prisoners behind, leaving the truth behind. Garrett sat in the silence, just him and Lyanna and the weight of what they'd done. Footsteps behind him. Dax. Is she? Yeah. Dax was quiet for a moment. Then she saved those people. All 200. I know. The broadcast is everywhere, every network. The Empire's in K. Systems are seceding. The Council's trying to respond, but they can't control the narrative. Good. Garrett, you did it. You changed everything. Garrett looked at Lyanna's face. Peaceful. Finally at rest. We changed everything, he said quietly. He stood. His body ached. His hands shook. But he stood. The prisoners were watching him. 200 pairs of eyes, waiting. Garrett cleared his throat. I'm Garrett Thorne. I'm human. Like you. And you're free now, all of you. Ships are coming. They'll get you home. Get you medical care. Get you whatever you need. An old man stepped forward, tears on his face. Is it true what the broadcast said, that the Empress was one of us? Garrett looked down at Lyanna. Yeah, she was one of us. And in the end, she remembered what that meant. The old man knelt, then another, then all of them. 200 people kneeling before a dead Empress who'd been a stolen child. Mourning, honoring, forgiving. Garrett turned away. He couldn't watch. His comm beeped. Incoming transmission. Fleet-wide broadcast. A voice he'd never heard. Female. Authoritative. This is Captain Miravaro of the independent vessel Resolute. We received your transmission, Garrett Thorne. On behalf of the Free Colonies Coalition, we're offering asylum and protection. Is Empress Saren alive? Garrett looked at Lyanna one last time. No, he said. She's gone. Oh, a pause. And then who's in command? Garrett almost laughed. No one. That's kind of the point. We need someone to coordinate. Someone who knows what happened here. Then get someone else. Mr. Thorne, you expose the Empire's greatest crime. Whether you like it or not, you're at the center of this. I'm a salvager. That's it. Then fix this. The galaxy's breaking. It needs someone who gives a damn. Garrett closed his eyes, thought about Eliza, about Dax, about Lyanna and her 200 years of burden, about the choice between walking away and doing something that mattered. He opened his eyes. What do you need? 37 ships became 100 within an hour. Garrett stood in New Horizons' observation deck watching them arrive. Merchant vessels, colony ships, independent haulers, even a few military frigates that had broken from Imperial command. Every species the Zenithari Empire had ever exploited converging on a dead station because a salvager had told the truth. Dax stood beside him, scanner in hand. I'm reading transponders from 73 different systems. This isn't a fleet. It's a movement. A movement needs a leader. Yeah, they think they have one. Garrett's comm chimed, the voice from earlier, Captain Miravaro. Mr. Thorne, my shuttles are landing. We're evacuating the prisoners. Medical teams are standing by. Copy that. And we need to talk, face to face. Garrett looked at his reflection in the viewport, grease-stained, exhausted. A man who'd spent 2 years trying to disappear and somehow become the center of everything. Yeah, he said quietly. I figured. Miravero was 50, maybe 55. Gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, eyes that had seen combat and come out harder. She wore a captain's uniform from no military Garrett recognized. Independent, self-made, earned not given. She walked into the command center like she owned it. Behind her, two others, a Zenithari with facial scars and broken rank insignia, a human woman younger carrying a data pad. Mira stopped 3 feet from Garrett, studied him. You don't look like someone who just changed the galaxy. I'm not. I'm someone who hit send on a transmitter. That transmitter started a war. No, the Empire started a war 200 years ago. I just made sure everyone knew about it. Mira's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes shifted. Respect, maybe, or calculation. My name is Mira Vero. I commanded a frigate in the Imperial Navy, 15 years of service. Then I learned what my missions were really supporting. Labor camps, relocations, sanctioned massacres. She gestured to the Zenithari. This is Kren, former commander. His family was purged for questioning orders. The Zenithari's voice was rough. The empire I served was a lie. When your broadcast proved it, I brought my crew to stand witness. Mira indicated the human woman. And this is Dr. Amara Wells, xenohistorian. She's been documenting imperial crimes for a decade. Your evidence gave her the proof she needed. Amara nodded. What you found here changes everything. Mira pulled up a holographic display. Star map. 847 systems color-coded. 2/3 were orange, 1/3 green, a dozen red. This is the Empire as of 2 hours ago. Orange systems are in chaos. Governments demanding answers. Green systems are seceding. Red systems are doubling down, full loyalty to the Council. And the Council, silent, locked in emergency session. But their silence is telling. They can't spin this, can't deny it. They're scrambling. Dax stepped forward. What about Earth? Amar answered. Earth's government received the broadcast like everyone else. They're in shock. 27 ambassadors are demanding emergency sessions. The Secretary General is preparing a statement. Statement saying what? That depends on what happens in the next 12 hours. Mira closed the display. Mr. Thorne, 73 systems have sent representatives. They're gathering at Nexus Station. Neutral ground, they want answers. They want accountability. And they want someone to coordinate. I'm not a politician. Good. We have enough politicians. We need someone who will tell the truth. I told the truth. It's out there. My part's done. Kren's voice was quiet. The Empire has declared you a terrorist. They're offering 5 million credits for your capture. They want you silenced. Garrett felt that familiar ice in his gut. Of course they do. If you hide, they win, Mira said. They'll paint you as a radical, a liar. They'll discredit everything you exposed. And if I don't hide, then you face them, publicly, at Nexus Station. Let the galaxy see that you're not afraid. Garrett looked at the star map, at the chaos he'd created, the necessary chaos. He thought about Liana, about her 200 years carrying the weight alone. When do we leave? He asked. Nexus Station was everything New Horizon wasn't. Alive, thriving, neutral ground by treaty belonging to no faction. A place where trade happened, deals were made, and species who'd kill each other anywhere else could share a drink. Today was something else. A courtroom, a tribunal, a reckoning. Garrett's shuttle docked in Bay 12. Mira's crew escorted him through corridors packed with beings from 100 worlds. They stared, pointed, whispered. The human who exposed the Empire. The salvager who changed everything. The fool who thought truth mattered more than survival. They reached the Grand Assembly Hall, massive, built for gatherings of thousands. Today it held representatives from 73 systems with billions watching the broadcast. Garrett stopped at the entrance. His hands were shaking. He shoved them in his pockets. I'm not ready for this. Mira's voice was firm. No one ever is. She led him inside. The hall fell silent. Garrett walked to the center platform, alone, exposed. A man in salvager's coveralls standing before governments and empires. A voice boomed from the council seats. Zenithari, old, authoritative. Garrett Thorne, you stand accused of theft of imperial property, unauthorized access to classified systems, dissemination of state secrets, and incitement of galaxy-wide unrest. Garrett looked up at the speaker, Council Member Taverick. one of the 7 who ruled the empire. That everything, Garrett asked. Do you deny these accusations? No, I did all of that. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Tavrik leaned forward. You confess. I don't confess, I confirm. I accessed New Horizon Station's archives. I broadcast evidence of Imperial war crimes. And yeah, I stole a ship to get away. Seemed necessary at the time. You have destroyed centuries of stability. I exposed centuries of lies. Order requires sacrifice. Garrett felt anger spike. Hot. Clean. That, what you call it? Sacrifice 8,000 people suffocated in vacuum on New Horizon. 47 stations. 200,000 humans disappeared into labor camps. You call that sacrifice? Those decisions were necessary for what profit control, making sure no one questioned your authority. Garrett's voice rose. I watched the footage, counselor. I saw children beating on sealed doors while your ships vented their air. You want to call that sacrifice? You look those families in the eye and say it. Silence. Tavrik's expression was stone. You are one man, you have no authority, no mandate. You cannot judge an empire. You're right, I can't judge you. Garrett gestured to the assembly. But they can, and they're watching now. All of them, every species you exploited, every colony you crushed. They all know what you are. Another council member stood, female, human features but not quite human. The empire maintained peace for 3 centuries. Yes, there were costs, but the alternative was chaos. War. Billions dead. Billions are already dead, Garrett shot back. You just made sure no one talked about it. And what do you propose? Anarchy. Every system for itself. I propose you stop hiding behind words like necessary and sacrifice. I propose you admit what you did. Take responsibility. And let the galaxy decide if you deserve to keep ruling. Tavrik's voice dropped. Cold. Dangerous. You forget yourself human. You are not a representative. Not a leader. You are a criminal who got lucky. Maybe, but I'm a criminal who told the truth. What are you? The assembly erupted, representatives shouting, some supporting Garrett, others defending the council. Chaos spreading like wildfire. Tavrik raised a hand. Silence fell. Very well, Mr. Thorne. You want a reckoning, you shall have one. The council offers Earth a choice. Garrett felt ice in his spine. Surrender yourself for trial. Accept punishment for your crimes. And Earth will be granted full membership in the Zenithari Federation. Protection, trade rights, everything your species has sought for decades. Mira stood. You can't. Refuse, Tavrik continued. And Earth faces isolation, economic sanctions, expulsion from all Imperial trade routes. Your people will suffer for your arrogance. Garrett looked at Mira, at Amara, at the 73 representatives watching. He thought about Eliza, about the insurance company that made her expendable. He thought about systems that made people choose between truth and survival. No, he said. Tavrik blinked. No, no deal. Earth doesn't get membership because I traded myself for it. Earth gets membership because it deserves it. Because humans are free citizens of this galaxy, not bargaining chips. You would condemn your entire planet. My planet doesn't need your permission to exist. And I don't need your threats to know what's right. Garrett's voice was steady. You're asking me to choose between my freedom and my people's future. That's what empires do. That's what you've always done. Make people choose who's expendable. He looked around the assembly. I'm done choosing. Earth is either a free member of this galaxy equal to everyone else or it's not. But it won't buy that membership with my blood. Tavrik's face was rage barely contained. Then you have chosen chaos. I've chosen truth. If that causes chaos, the chaos was always there. You just kept it buried. Another council member stood, younger, uncertain. If we refuse Earth membership, we validate everything he's exposed. We prove that the Empire only values compliance, not justice. Tavrik rounded on him. You dare. I dare speak truth, like he did, like Empress Saren did. The young counselor looked at Garrett. She died trying to atone, didn't she? Garrett's throat tightened. Yeah, she did. Then perhaps we should consider. The station shook, not a tremor, an impact, massive, the kind that meant weapons fire. Alarms screamed, displays flashed red. Mira's comm exploded with chatter. Multiple contacts, Imperial warships, 30 vessels, heavy cruiser class. Garrett's stomach dropped. Korvan, Mira was already moving. Everyone to emergency stations. This is not a drill. The assembly dissolved into panic. Representatives running, doors sealing, emergency protocols activating. Garrett ran for the observation deck. Mira and Kren followed. Outside space was full of ships, 30 Imperial warships forming an attack formation, and leading them one massive dreadnought, Korvan's flagship. The station's comm crackled. Korvan's voice amplified across every armored channel. Nexus Station, you are harboring terrorists and traitors. Surrender Garrett Thorne, and all evidence of Imperial crimes or this station will be classified as hostile. Mira grabbed Garrett's arm. We need to evacuate. Now. He'll shoot down the shuttles. Then what do we do? Garrett looked at the dreadnought, at the impossible odds, at the choice that wasn't really a choice. We fight. Kren laughed. It was a broken sound. Fight with what Nexus is a civilian station. We have no weapons. No military weapons, Garrett corrected. But we've got 100 ships in dock. Merchants, haulers, salvagers like me. Ships with engines and cargo holds, and people who are tired of running. Mira understood immediately. Guerrilla tactics. Use the environment. Exactly. Korvan's got firepower. We've got numbers and home advantage. It's suicide. Probably, but it's suicide with a purpose. Amara burst onto the deck. I accessed the station's industrial systems. We have mining drones, cargo containers, construction equipment. Garrett's mind raced. Mining drones can be programmed for remote detonation. Cargo containers become kinetic missiles, construction equipment. Can weld emergency barriers across approach vectors, Kren finished. Create choke points. How long do we have? Garrett asked. Mira checked her scanner. Korvan's forming a blockade. He's not rushing, he's methodical. 20 minutes before he's in position to attack. Then we've got 20 minutes to turn a civilian station into a fortress. They move fast. Mira coordinated the merchant ships. Kren organized the station's defense grid. Amara accessed industrial controls. Garrett did what he did best. He improvised. Mining drones, 73 of them programmed with new targeting parameters. Not ore deposits, hull signatures, cargo containers loaded with construction debris, and launched from emergency airlocks. Crude missiles but effective at close range. And the asteroid field nearby the one Nexus had been built to mine turned into a weapon. Gravity tractors pulling rocks into orbital paths. A maze of stone and ice that would shred anything moving too fast. 16 minutes. Garrett stood in the command center watching the pieces fall into place. It wasn't military perfect, but it was human perfect. Messy, creative, desperate. His comm chimed. Private channel. Mira. Garrett, I've been monitoring the Imperial fleet. They're not all moving in formation. 7 ships are hanging back, maintaining distance from Korvan's dreadnought. Why? I don't know, but it's not standard Imperial tactics. Garrett filed that away. Keep watching them. 15 minutes. Korvan's voice boomed again. Your time is expiring. Surrender now or face destruction. Garrett grabbed the station-wide comm. Attention all ships. This is Garrett Thorne. I know what you're thinking. That this is my fight. That you can walk away, and you can. No one will blame you. He paused. But if you stay, we might survive. We might prove that standing up to tyranny isn't suicide. It's the only way tyranny ends. Silence. Then one ship broke formation. A merchant hauler, moving into defensive position, then another, a colony transport, then 10, 20, 50. Every ship in dock moving to defend. Garrett's throat tightened. Okay, let's give them hell. 12 minutes. Korvan's fleet began to advance. Slow, steady, 30 warships against a station and a ragtag fleet. Garrett watched them come. Wait for it. Don't fire until they're committed. The Imperial ships entered the asteroid field, carefully, their shields deflecting small debris. Wait. They were halfway through, point of no return. Now. Mining drones ignited. 73 explosions turned the asteroid field into a cloud of shrapnel. Rocks the size of cars became bullets moving at orbital velocity. 3 Imperial ships died instantly. Hulls breached. Atmosphere venting. The formation broke. Ships scattering to avoid debris. Hit them while they're scattered. Cargo containers launched. Kinetic missiles with no guidance systems. But in a debris field, you didn't need guidance, just luck. 2 more ships damaged, 1 spinning out of control. But Korvan's dreadnought kept coming, shields holding, main guns charging. Garrett's comm crackled, Mira's voice. Urgent. Those 7 ships I mentioned, they're breaking formation, moving away from Korvan's command. Deserters. I don't think so. Wait, I'm getting a transmission. Encrypted. It's oh my god. What? It's from Liana's armor. The one you kept on your ship. Garrett's blood froze. That's impossible. She's dead. I know, but something's activating. The armor's quantum link. It's broadcasting. On the command center's main screen, an image appeared. Liana. Not alive. Not exactly, but her consciousness preserved in the armor's quantum network. A ghost in the machine, speaking across the Imperial fleet's encrypted channels. Her voice was distorted, digital, but unmistakable. This is Empress Liana Saren, final authenticated command. I invoke Protocol Omega. Garrett stared. What's Protocol Omega? Kren's voice was awed. Emergency override. Only the Empress can activate it. It strips command authority from anyone deemed unfit. It was designed to prevent coups. On the screens, chaos erupted in the Imperial fleet. 7 ships became 12, 15, 20, officers refusing Corvan's orders, crews standing down, ships powering weapons offline. Liana's voice continued. Admiral Corvan acted without council authorization. He staged an execution to frame me. He violated Nexus neutrality. Under Imperial law, he is guilty of treason. All loyal Imperial forces will stand down. Half the fleet broke formation. Corvan's dreadnought stood alone, surrounded by ships that would no longer fight for him. His voice crackled across all channels. Rage. Desperation. You're dead. This is a trick. A fabrication. My quantum signature is authenticated, Liana's voice said calmly. My consciousness was preserved in my armor systems. This is my final command, Admiral. You are relieved of duty. No. Corvan's dreadnought suddenly accelerated. Full burn. Not retreating, charging straight at Nexus Station. A suicide run. Garrett understood in an instant. He's going to ram us. Full shields brace for the Imperial ships that had mutinied opened fire. Not on Nexus. On Corvan's dreadnought. 20 warships concentrated fire. Shields collapsing. Hull breaching. The dreadnought shuddered, spun, atmosphere venting. But it kept coming. Garrett grabbed the comm. All ships emergency thrust, get clear of the impact zone. Too slow. The dreadnought was too close. Too massive. Then Liana's armor, still transmitting, still functioning, sent one final command. The dreadnought's engine shut down. Emergency override. Every system locked. The ship went dark. Dead in space. Drifting past Nexus, missing by 300 meters. Silence. Garrett couldn't breathe, couldn't process. Liana's image flickered. Fading. Garrett, I'm glad I met you. Glad I remembered. Thank you for showing me what it means to come home. Liana. The armor's power is depleted. I can't maintain this connection, but I wanted you to know. You didn't just save me. You saved who I was supposed to be. The image dissolved into static. The command center was silent. Then Mira's voice. Quiet. Corvan's dreadnought is disabled. His crew is surrendering. And the Imperial ships that mutinied are requesting permission to dock. Garrett leaned against the console. Exhausted. Alive. Permission granted. 3 hours later, Garrett stood in the docking bay of Corvan's dreadnought. The Admiral was in restraints, face bloody, uniform torn, surrounded by his own crew who'd turned on him the moment the ship powered down. Garrett walked up to him, met his eyes. You destroyed an empire, Corvan said. Hollow, defeated. No, I exposed what it always was. You destroyed it by being exactly what you pretended to fight against. The galaxy needed order. The galaxy needed justice. There's a difference. Corvan laughed bitterly. Justice from a salvager. Yeah, turns out salvagers see the wreckage empires leave behind. Makes it hard to believe in their promises. 2 guards led Corvan away. To a cell, to trial, to whatever came next. Garrett didn't watch him go. Theta 7, different wreckage, same job. Garrett's shuttle touched down on scorched earth. He grabbed his toolkit, stepped out into silence. The war here had ended weeks ago. Local dispute, nothing galaxy-shaking, just more broken things waiting to be fixed or forgotten. His scanner beeped. Power cores, intact shielding. Maybe 800 credits worth of salvage if he worked fast. He started walking. Halfway to the first target, his comm chimed. Dax. Thorn, you copy? Yeah, I'm here. Got a contract offer, big one. Commonwealth wants someone to survey old Imperial labor camps, catalog survivors, coordinate returns. What's the pay? 50,000 credits, plus full support, medical teams, transport. Garrett was quiet. It's good work, Dax continued. Meaningful work, and they specifically asked for you. Tell them no. Garrett, I'm a salvager, Dax. That's what I'm good at. That's what I do. A pause. You changed the galaxy. I told the truth. The galaxy changed itself. You're too humble. I'm exactly humble enough. Those people need someone who will give them everything. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who shows up after everything's broken and sees what he can fix. And that's enough. Garrett looked at the wreckage around him, at the power cores waiting, at the small fixable problems that made up a life. Yeah, it's enough. All right, I'll tell them. But Garrett, what? You're still invited to the Commonwealth anniversary ceremony. Next month, Nexus Station, big event, everyone's going to be there. I'll think about it. You won't go? Probably not, Dax laughed. Fair enough. Stay safe, brother. You too. The comm went dead. Garrett reached the first power core, knelt beside it, pulled out his tools. The work was familiar, comfortable. Disconnect the feed, bleed the capacitors, extract clean. No galaxy-shaking choices, no impossible odds. Just a man and a broken system and the quiet satisfaction of making something work again. His scanner beeped. Life sign, faint, 200 meters north. Garrett froze. He stared at the display, then at the horizon, then back at the display. He thought about Liana, about Eliza, about the choice he'd made on a different battlefield that changed everything. He thought about walking away, minding his business, staying safe. He stood, grabbed his med kit, started running, because some things never changed, and Garrett Thorne would always be the guy who couldn't leave someone behind. On Theta 7, Garrett found the source of the life sign, an alien, young, trapped under debris, bleeding out. Garrett dropped to his knees, started assessing. Bypass, stabilize, fix. The alien's eyes opened. Confusion, fear. It's okay, Garrett said. I've got you. Just hold on. Why? The alien's voice was weak. Why help? Garrett didn't stop working. Because you need it. That's enough. 27 minutes later, the alien was stable. Alive. Garrett sat back, exhausted, satisfied. His comm chimed. Job offer. Another salvage contract. Decent pay. Uncomplicated work. He accepted. Because that's what he did. Help people. Lived a life that mattered in small, quiet ways. The galaxy had changed. The empire had fallen. The Council of Seven was arrested within a week, not by force, but by their own military. Officers who'd seen the broadcasts, who'd read the evidence, who'd decided that orders weren't the same as righteousness. Taverick and 3 others faced trial at Nexus, found guilty, sentenced to supervised exile. The empire didn't fall. It transformed. 847 systems reorganized, not as subjects of a central throne, but as a federation of equals. The Stellarian Commonwealth. Each world with a voice, each species with rights. Earth became a founding member, not through deals or compromise, but through the simple fact that humanity had proven it wouldn't bow to tyranny. Amara Wells became Earth's first ambassador. Mira Vero, commander of the Commonwealth Defense Force. Kren, head of the new Truth and Reconciliation Commission. They all asked Garrett to join them, to lead, to coordinate, to be the voice that changed everything. He said no to all of it. Billions of lives were different because of what he'd started. But Garrett Thorne was still just an engineer with grease-stained hands and a toolkit and a stubborn refusal to let broken things stay broken. And in the end, that was enough. That was everything. The stars turned, the Commonwealth grew, and on 1,000 battlefields across 847 worlds, salvagers and engineers and ordinary people did their work. Helping who they found, one small act at a time. They thought humans were expendable labor. Primitive, insignificant. They were wrong. Humanity wasn't soldiers, wasn't conquerors. Humanity was the species that saw broken things and tried to fix them, that saw suffering and tried to ease it, that stood between tyranny and the innocent and said simply, firmly, no more. And in a galaxy full of empires and hierarchies, an ancient species who measured worth in military strength, humanity became the one thing no one had expected. The conscience of the Commonwealth, not because they were special, but because they were human. And being human meant choosing compassion when the easy choice was to walk away. Every single time, without hesitation, without question, forever.